Hey everybody, Walter Badgeron here. If you're interested in trying to find out how to grow your business in massive ways and reach the business of your dreams, go to drivingforcebook.com and get a copy of our book. If you don't like it, if it's terrible, just hit refund. I'll give you $7 back. But before we get started today, I did want to make sure that you knew that you had that resource available to you at any time you want, drivingforcebook.com. Today, what we're really trying to get into is the real life, what it takes to grow a massive business in big ways. We're driving in the car, we're on our way to pick up our son. That's just part of the way that our business goes right now. So I just kind of want to cover some of these things about our massive business growth formula. The MV plus XR equals MRG. So the MV meaning massive vision, the XR meaning extraordinary resource. And that's what we want to talk to you about today, was the extraordinary resources. Knowing that extraordinary resources are really relative to the size of your business. What's extraordinary to one person may not be extraordinary to another person. So when we were so my wife is holding the phone right now, but when we were doing the first big seven-figure business that we had, there was a time when we knew we needed to step up our marketing game to a really, really high level. To us, that meant writing a book. Writing a book was a really big deal in our industry, and no one had really done it. It was in industrial repairs. It was something that was new. It was something that no one had ever even thought of. I mean, other than a catalog, right? We had big part number catalogs, but that wasn't a real written book. And so when we wrote this book here, the $1 Million Total Business Transformation, that's the only reason I'm bringing it up. This is the very first book that we wrote. This thing didn't start out as I'm going to sit down one weekend and write a novel. That's not where this thing came from. The reality of how that book came out to be was it was actually my phone logs. Every time I would take a phone call or do something during the day, I would document what I was doing. And that's all that thing started out as, was a phone log that we had edited. We put, I think the thing's even got pictures. I'm driving, I shouldn't be doing this, but I think it's even got pictures in here of the marketing that we did just to take up some space in the book. I think it's only maybe 150 pages long. But creating that book was extraordinary. It was an extraordinary resource for our business. To a published author, to somebody that's already published books, this is no big deal, right? A 150-page book. No. You might have dozens of these things to drive your business. So it wouldn't be extraordinary in certain industries. In our industry, it was extraordinary. The resource itself of being able to self-publish a book, that was extraordinary to us. But some people, it's not. It's no big deal at all. And what makes this kind of come about today is we're actually on our way to pick up our 15-year-old son from it's not football practice, he's a football player, but he's actually staying after school to lift weights and all that and practice. And we're going to pick him up. And what's so extraordinary about that book resource for him is that he is actually writing his first book at 15 years old. He's putting together his very first book. We worked over the Christmas holidays. He recorded some transcribed notes, and he recorded some ideas, and we transcribed them. We're going to turn that into a book for him. But it's so cool because that's extraordinary for a 15-year-old to be able to do that. Matter of fact, today we got an email from one of his English teachers telling us how good he was doing. You know, he's trying really hard. He had a really hard test, and that he just did really well on it. And it wasn't the grade that was so impressive. It was the effort that he put into it. And that's another good thing, the effort you put into things. But what was so cool is that we let her know that he was writing a book, and she was quite astonished that a 15-year-old was actually writing his first book. Not a big deal for a business owner, not a big deal for a published author, but a big freaking deal for a sophomore in high school to be able to do something like that, to launch his own resume, his own career. So we're really proud of him, and I think it kind of stemmed from looking at the extraordinary resource that he needs to change his entire life. That comes back to possibly what you're doing with your business. I'm not sure if it or not. Speaking of books, if you're interested in learning how to grow your business to massive levels like we did with our last few, and talk about those extraordinary resources, the book drivingforcebook.com actually has 6 different business models that you can use to grow your business. So again, if you like the book, it's $7. There's some upsells in there too. But look, if all of it's terrible, and I know this book had typos and grammatical errors, if the book here that you buy from us for $7 has those too and that bothers you, just hit refund. We'll give you the money back. I think you even get to keep the book, because I don't think there's any way to take back an ebook from someone. So for $7 you can get the book, but it does have some cool stuff on how to grow your business in massive ways. Gives you 6 different business models that would be extraordinary resources for your business, pretty much no matter what industry you're in. Lawyers, doctors, any professional practices. We did industrial repairs. We actually employed 2 of these methods, 2 of these business models for us, the software and the the expert course,
Yeah.
expert course, and the software we actually built into our industrial repair business. I wish I'd have known some of these things when we had our retail scuba shop, because we would have recorded and done some more of our expert course there. I think we've done some other things for our business. So I really wish somebody would have came to me and told me that there are different and better models to grow your business. So let's just say you do want your business to reach the income goals of your dreams, which for you could be 100 grand, could be $1 million, could be 10 million, could be 100. I mean, that's what our goal is now. We've set our new goals to be $100 million in revenue for our companies, and so that's extraordinary for us now. But I can remember not very long ago, less than 10 years ago, when $1 million would have been extraordinary for our for that business there. I remember when 100 grand would have been a big deal for us. So those extraordinary goals and that massive vision you have for your business, that's all relative to what you're doing, not compared to someone else. Although, look, we all look jealously at other business owners and other businesses and see how they're doing. We all look to see how they're doing and compare ourselves, and whether it's a failure or a success based on what they're doing. I never thought that was a really good way to judge yourself. But if that's what you do, because we do it naturally as humans, I think it's something that you can use to push yourself forward to grow your business. But back to the extraordinary resource, which is where I started this. The extraordinary resource that you may need for your business may not be extraordinary to others. So what I want you to do is to give some thought to the massive vision that you want for your company. What and how large and what you want that business to eventually look like, to give you the business of your dreams. What does that business of your dreams look like? And I dare you to think bigger, to think a whole lot bigger. That's why the term massive comes into play. To think really big for your business. Just how big do you want it to grow? If it's doing 50 grand now or $100,000 right now, think the 7-figure level. Maybe you can do something much, much bigger. If you're doing $5 or $10 million, maybe you could do the $100 million. I'm not saying you're going to do it in 90 days or something. Like when we did our last one, we had a significant amount of growth. We doubled the size of that business in only 90 days. That may not happen, but if you shoot for, a few hundred grand or $1 million, and you miss it, but at least you've grown to a certain level. So think about that. Give some thought that massive is still going to be better than just mediocre. So I want you to think about massive versus mediocre in the growth of your very own company. The resources you need are going to be different, but the amount of work that you put into growing the business won't be. You still only have, 8, 10, 168 hours a week, 8 hours a day, however much effort you want to put in there. But the actions you take, the resource you need to reach that goal will be different. And that's why it's so important to think much bigger, because you already have to do the work. You've already got to put in the blood, time, sweat, and tears to grow your business. So you might as well make it something that gives you some doggone results, some really, really massive results for your business, so you can reach the business of your dreams to do that. So anyway, what I really want to get out today is that I'm, for one thing, proud dad. I really enjoy the fact that my son is thinking bigger for his own life, and it's not about business for him. It's about really just a resume for college, thinking that, hey, he grew it. Look at this. We're in the middle of cane harvesting season here in South Louisiana, and that's what's going on. We had to divert because of the cane truck. All right. That's why we're in a truck, because most of these roads in Louisiana require a truck. Even the BMWs had for one thing, they had no trailer hitch, so we couldn't pull our boat with it, so we have to have a truck anyway. But anyway, I guess I got off subject, so I might as well talk about the other book that we have, the Driving Force Company, or the Driving Force book, which does have those 6 business models to grow your business. So if you take a look at that, I think you'll enjoy what that book can do for you. But our son, who does have the ability to attach himself to those extraordinary resources, because he had a big vision. The kids, he's using the massive growth formula, because it's not business for him, in really big ways. He's thinking a lot bigger than others at his age, or even in his school, or about what the next steps are for his life. And maybe college is in there, maybe it's not, maybe it's straight into entrepreneurship for him. But thinking that he needs to do something different. He needs resources that are much bigger than what he has available to him right now. The book is great. Maybe the book's a good idea for you. If you need a copy of that book, or if you want a copy of another great book, drivingforcebook.com is another book that we wrote just kind of off the cuff, that was just to be helpful to others. So take a look at it if you want. The extraordinary resources, though, remember, that's relative to your business. It may not be a book. Maybe it's that you need a vendor for marketing. Maybe it's that you need a vendor for giving you some great employees. Maybe it's in employees themselves. Maybe it's skills that you need. We just had another great extraordinary resource I mentioned in an earlier video today about the sales process. We were hiring and putting our own sales team in place with a call center for this business here, for drivingforcecompany.com. We're putting a call center in place, and we needed some good training for our entire sales staff. And so we hooked up with Grant Cardone and 10X, and those guys actually have a fantastic training program that we pulled them in and let them help us to train and to start our very first call center to do that. And the call center was for sales and, of course, for customer support for that company. But that was an extraordinary resource for us. Heck, the training itself may be an extraordinary resource for you, or you may be able to hire Grant himself. I think he's only $100,000 an hour to come in here and mess with your business and show you ways to take things to the next level. So maybe Grant's a good resource for you. But remember, those extraordinary resources, they're all relative. The massive vision for your company, that's all relative. As a matter of fact, we know that the massive vision for our businesses changes at least once a year when we do we review our own goals, but it can change a whole lot more often than that for you. It may change every doggone month, especially as you see success for your own company. When you see those successes, you always think, shoot, I think we could do something bigger. I think we could do even more. And that's where the massive business growth formula comes in. The massive vision plus those extraordinary resources, that's what gives you the growth. I know. Your arms getting tired, baby?
Yes, they are. And then they were getting ready to lose some internet connection.
All right, well, let's wrap this thing up right now. Thank you guys for attending. If you, before we go, just real quick, if you want that book, it's drivingforcebook.com. If you love it, leave me a comment. If you hate it and you want to return it, no problem either. It's your money back, so I'll give it to you, no problem. And thank you guys for attending. Talk to you soon. Bye.